Tánaiste, Matthew O'Toole certainly didn't have to exaggerate, because he obtained from you a document that has confidential not for circulation on its front cover, a document which you write on the top corner subject to amendments and changes. Can I ask you, Tánaiste, where did you obtain a copy of the document that you provided to Matthew O'Toole? Did you receive it at Cabinet? Was the document that you furnished him an original, or did you copy the document? And was the document requested by Matthew O'Toole, or did you just decide to stick it in an envelope and give it to him?
Thanks, Deputy. I got the document from the Department of Health. It was a hard copy. I did copy it, kept a copy for myself, which I no longer have, and one which I posted to him, and he did request it.
Can I ask you, in relation to getting it from the Department of Health, who in the department actually provided you with that copy, and did you request it at the time for that purpose? Can I also make the point to you, can you also outline to me when Matthew O'Toole requested the document from you?
I received copies of this twice. I would have got briefings from time to time about the negotiations. I wasn't at the talks at any point, but I was briefed on them. I got one copy from the Minister for Health, which my records tell me I read and put in the recycling bin. I requested a second copy through my advisor. I have an advisor, Claire Mungovan, who covered health issues for me when I was Taoiseach, and she got the second copy from the Department of Health. When? I don't know the exact date, but it was all in that time period, obviously.
Was it after Matthew O'Toole requested the document from you?
Again, I don't know the exact time period on that, Deputy, but the document I would have had would be from after the 4th of April, because that's when it was agreed. He would have requested sometime between the 4th and the dates which I gave you as to when I would have sent it to him, the 11th, or between the 11th and the 15th or 16th. But I think the 15th or 16th, I don't know exactly on which
Did you check your text messages?
I did, yeah.
And when did he request the document from you?
I don't have a text message on that.
Okay. You haven't checked with the department when you actually requested the document from the department to give to Matthew O'Toole?
The department, the document that it was given to Mr Harris was sometime around the 4th or 5th of April. This was a document that I read, put in the recycling bin. So then when I got the second copy,
Why did you get the second copy? Was it only for the purpose of providing that copy to Matthew O'Toole?
No, because I wanted to read it again.
Seriously?
Yes. Yeah, I did. And I requested my advisor to get it for me. That was, I think, the 10th of April.
And you just happened to then give it to Matthew O'Toole, and you don't know whether Matthew was looking for it before you actually requested it?
I know he was looking. I know he was looking for it, but I don't know the exact date. But it was all in that. It was all obviously in that week, which was the week after it had been launched, announced, and approved by Cabinet.
Yes or no, Tánaiste, did you tell anybody in the Department of Taoiseach, the Department of Health, the IMO or the HSE that you were providing a copy of this document that has confidential not for circulation to your friend Matthew O'Toole?
Thanks, Deputy. I didn't tell anyone, or at least I have no recollection in telling anyone. But in doing so, as I said earlier, I was following on from a government commitment that we would keep the NAGP informed and involved in all of this.
We'll come to that. So you didn't tell anybody. Are you aware that the NAGP's head office is across the road? It's actually on this street, Kildare Street. Are you aware of that as a GP and former Minister of Health?
Actually, no, I'm not.
Okay. Anybody?
I'm sorry I could have found it out, but I wasn't aware of that.
So you decided instead to seek out Matthew O'Toole's home address and to put this contract into an envelope and post it off to him instead. Can I ask you, the Minister for Justice, in her defence of your actions, told RTE Radio, this wasn't the first contact. There have been engagement with the NAGP throughout the negotiations. Is that statement true? And if so, can you tell the Dáil what engagement there was between the Department and the NAGP from the resumption of the talks in October 2018 to the conclusion of the talks in April?
Yeah, Deputy, that's a good question. I can't answer it for sure. The NAGP in their statement the other day said that they had monthly meetings with the HSE and the Department of Health. The Department of Health says otherwise, that there were not meetings, I think, in 2018 or 2019. So we'll have to get to the bottom of that, obviously, but none of these would have been involving me. But again, the commitment was there. In the government memo in 2018, in Minister Harris's commitments to the Joint Oireachtas Committee that we would keep the IMO informed and involved. NAGP,
Let's get to the bottom of it, Tánaiste, because you didn't keep the NAGP involved. You regurgitated that statement again in your statement to the Dáil today about the commitment. But the reality is, and tell me, do you know this? Because I'm sure you've been doing a lot of inquiries over the last number of days. There was no engagement between the Department of Health and the NAGP from October 2018 in the resumption of these talks to the time when these talks completed. No engagement. If you dispute that, publish the records within the Department of Health.
Deputy, the Department of Health and the HSE would have been involved in this too. So the NAGP in their statements say that there are monthly meetings on the chronic disease package. The Department of Health says that there was a prolonged period where there were no meetings. I'm not sure what the HSE is saying. But what I can say is there was a government commitment, a public commitment given by the Minister of Health, a public commitment given by me, that the NAGP would be informed and involved and consulted. And if they were not, well, then they should have been.
The Minister for Justice went on national radio yesterday in your defence, out to bat for you, and said there has been engagement with the NAGP throughout these negotiations. Now, you're telling me the Department of Health are saying there was no engagement. That's the problem. We've asked for these documents, which are all FOIable, to be released, so there wouldn't be any confusion in this matter. There was no engagement with the NAGP and the Department of Health, yet you are relying on that defence in some way to suggest that this was an ongoing process and it wasn't about doing a trick or a favour or pulling strings or a dig out for a friend. Isn't that not the case? Are you aware that there was no engagement with the Department of Health and the NAGP throughout this process, and do you accept that the statement by the Minister for Justice, Helen McAtee, is inaccurate in that regard?
Thanks, Deputy. In fairness, the Minister for Justice is the Minister for Justice, and she would have had no involvement in this, and it wouldn't be fair to expect her to know everything about it or be aware of all the details. So I don't think that's a fair proposition that you're putting forward. My defence is not about how many meetings were held between NAGP and the HSE and the Department of Health. My defence is there was a government decision to formally consult and involve the NAGP, to keep them informed, to keep them up to date. We committed to doing that here in the House. The Minister committed to doing it. The government decided to do it. And if they had not been informed all along, they should have been.
I'm not even going to go there because it's ridiculous what you're suggesting, that you just decided to take it upon yourself with no engagement all through the process to actually give a confidential document to a friend, and this is supposedly fulfilling a government commitment. Can I ask you, you wrote in this document in your own handwriting, I presume, subject to amendments and changes. Do you accept that this document that you gave to your friend, the rival group to the IMO, which the Department of Health and the HSE were in engagement with for a long period of time, was subject, could have been amended and could have been changed at the time you decided to post it to your friend?
Any agreement, even when it's done, even when it's passed by Cabinet, can be amended. We all know that. Agreements can be made and you can come back and amend them subsequently, and they can be subject to change. But what I'm saying, and this is a fact, and I've put the records on the, for the information of the House tonight, engagement was concluded, says that in the government memo, on the 3rd of April. The details were publicly announced on the 4th of April. It was launched by the HSE on the 6th of April, publicly announced and endorsed by me and Mr Harris on the same day. This was a week or two after all of that. And yes, any document can be subject to change or amendment. That is a simple fact. However, in this case, any changes that were made were minor because they did not go back to Cabinet.
Tánaiste, this document was changed, and I presume it was changed through discussion and ongoing discussion after this date between the IMO and the Department. If you want to suggest that it wasn't changed, I don't think that's your defence anymore, but if you do want to suggest that, because that's what one of your ministers were suggesting yesterday, again out to bat for you on national radio, Peter Burke told RTE no other amendments were made to the agreement, subject to you providing the confidential copy to your friend Matthew O'Toole. That's simply not true, and I think you've confirmed that now. Why would you give a document where it wasn't completely tied down to a friend, which was a rival organisation to the IMO, which the IMO were engaged in good faith in negotiation with the Department of Health and the HSE, a rival organisation which was dependent on GPs' membership retention and signing up them, dependent on the subscriptions, the financial subscriptions that they paid to them? Why would you do that, knowing that that document has on its front cover confidential, not for circulation, and in your handwriting acknowledging that that document wasn't finalised, that it was subject in your handwriting to amendment or changes? What is your motivation?
First of all, I gave it on a confidential basis to Matthew O'Toole as President of the NAGP. He shared it with some people, as I understand, in the NAGP, but certainly did not publish it, widely circulated or anything like that. It was a document that I had that I gave to somebody in confidence. I explained why I did it earlier, that I wanted to see if we could get the NAGP on side, try to make sure that they didn't oppose this agreement like they had in 2015. It was an attempt to get them on board. I know you're going to keep going back to this point, that Matthew O'Toole was my friend. That is true, but I had lots of friends who are GPs. I still have lots. No, let me finish, please. Let me finish, please.
Deputy Doherty, can you let the Taoiseach finish? You've asked the question.
I trained as a GP. I have lots of friends who are GPs. I still do. I didn't give the document to my friends who are GPs. I only gave it to one person because he was president of the NAGP, not because he was my friend.
Have you ever given Matthew any other confidential information? Have you leaked any other confidential reports, Tánaiste? No. Can I ask you, when this accusation was made to you by the Village magazine on Tuesday last, did you contact any other Cabinet colleagues to discuss this with them? We know that you didn't inform the Taoiseach until it was publicised on Saturday.
I didn't. I didn't contact any other Cabinet ministers about it, and the query didn't come to me about it at all, actually. But an email was sent to our office asking if I'd ever given a document to, I think, another doctor or an associate, but we didn't reply to the query.
Are you aware of any other members of your Cabinet at that time being asked by any senior member of the NAGP for this contract?
Not that I'm aware of.
Are you aware that Simon Harris, your Minister for Health, was approached by Matthew O'Toole on the 9th of April requesting this document?
Again, Deputy, you're asking me about contacts between Minister Harris and...
I'm just asking your awareness. Your awareness.
I wouldn't be surprised. It would be entirely normal for the President of the NAGP to ask the Minister.
Are you aware that on the morning of the 10th of April that Simon Harris responded to that, saying he will make inquiries on that and asking him to let's grab coffee soon? Are you aware of that?
I am aware because I saw this tweet that was published somewhere in the last hour. But that's the only reason why I'm aware of it. But
so Simon Harris said he'll make inquiries on the 10th, the morning of the 10th at 8 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, you send a message to Matthew O'Toole looking for his home address.
But Deputy, I can answer questions about my actions.
Yeah, but can you confirm that you sent at 2 o'clock that you sent on the same day asking Matthew O'Toole for his home address?
I don't have that in front of me at the moment, Deputy,
okay.
But I did ask him for his home address and I did send the document to him in the post.
It is suggested from your friend Matthew O'Toole that he met with Simon Harris for lunch in Wicklow on the afternoon or the morning of the 12th of April. Is that something that you may be aware of or not? Maybe you'll have a chance. I'm just saying it's a suggestion.
Yeah, Deputy, what you're doing is you're reading out tweets or WhatsApp messages that were put on the internet in the last hour or so that aren't from me. They're between other people. I can't account for that.
Actually, they won from you.
I can account for the ones from me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go then. So then, there's another one here which he was asking for the document. This is Matthew O'Toole. Any luck in getting that contract? That's the Monday. You say it should be in the post, and you're acknowledging that you probably put it in the post on the Monday or the Tuesday, the 15th or the 16th. Can I ask you, because you know we're head of government at that time, you are Tánaiste. There is a lot of information to be put out there. We heard from the Minister for Health yesterday. He went on national radio, but he didn't tell one single person that he was also requested for this document. He didn't tell one single person that he also said that he will, thanks Matt, let's make inquiries on that, let's grab a coffee soon. Now, do you think that that's relevant or not, the fact that your friend was asking Simon Harris, the Minister for Health, for the same document that you decided to give him without the knowledge of Minister Harris?
Thanks, Deputy. Once again, I'm very happy to answer any questions you may have about my actions. I can't answer questions about the actions of Minister Harris or the actions of Dr. O'Toole. I can only answer for myself.
We can establish a number of things. First of all, the document, the confidential document draft agreement was not complete. There was changes to it done afterwards. We can establish that your friend requested that document, that you told nobody in the Department of Taoiseach, nobody in the Department of Health, nobody in the HSE, nobody in the IMO. You didn't send it to the head office, which is across the street. You decided instead to get the home address of your friend and post it in an envelope to him. You had a number of text messages and engagements with him. You knew that that organisation is a rival organisation to the IMO in which the discussions were being had. But you decided to do that. And Matthew O'Toole has made claims to others in the past that his intention was to undermine or destroy the IMO. Seriously, this isn't, as simple as a junior official. Tánaiste, you are the head of government. This is insiders. This is old boys' club. This is not something that you just apologise for and try and make excuses that this was a part of an ongoing engagement, which we now know there was no engagement. This is favour for friends, and it is simply unacceptable, and I don't buy your analysis on it.
Thanks, Deputy. It was none of those things. This was an agreement that was done. This was an agreement that had been published in substance, or at least the salient details, including all the financial and commercially sensitive information. This was an agreement that had been launched by the HSE, had been welcomed publicly by me and the Minister for Health, had gone to Cabinet. The Cabinet memo very clearly says engagement has concluded. The head of the NAGP requested it. I gave it to him because he was the President of the NAGP, not because he was a friend of mine, and not as close a friend as he's made out, and I can come to that maybe later on. And my intention was, as I outlined in my statement, to try and mollify, reduce and negate the opposition of that organisation, because I didn't want to.
The time is up, Deputy.